Okay. And that, tell me when we've gone an hour and 10 minutes, because then we have to change the battery. Okay.
Hello, my name is Trenton Pusag-Weber.
Hi, Trenton.
Okay. All I want, ooh yeah, is a little respect. Back in 1967, Aretha Franklin first famously sung these lyrics about what all people desire, respect. Now, she says also, all your kisses, ooh, sweeter than honey, and she's talking about how like compassion and passion, yeah, they're nice. But when you get right down to it, everyone wants to be respected. Now, one of the best ways you can show respect to someone is by doing it non-verbally. Now, you can do this by making eye contact with people when talking to them, making sure that you like nod, you show that you're paying attention, and even in like your facial expressions and how you look at, like how you're looking at someone. I mean, it would be a little inappropriate to be smiling when someone's talking about how their dog died. So, this past, or well, 2 weekends ago, I began work at CLIC, or Campus Learning Instructional Computer Commons. Basically what we do is we're in charge of the computer labs at the library. We rent out laptops to people, and we maintain the classrooms, which we are actually going to next week. With CLIC, there's a big customer service component. So you're basically interacting with a lot of people, and you have to make sure you stay respectful. That's one of our policies, showing respect. So it was the perfect opportunity for me to do this experiment. Okay, so with my first weekend working, I have 3 different experiences: a good, a bad, and an ugly. So to start off with my good. So for my very first shift, they pair you up with someone who's been working there for a while. And for most people, they were told about it like during training. I, for some reason, had no idea. So I went in not knowing who I'd be working with. And I was nervous. I mean, it's my first shift. I have to make sure that I impress the people I'm working with. Well, I arrive at work, and as it so happens, I get paired up with the manager. Great. You know, with the manager, you have to make sure that you impress her, you do everything right, because by the end of the quarter, she's the one who's writing evaluations on you. She's going to be the one who determines whether you get promoted and whether you stay. So I was nervous, and I was afraid I'd be timid. So as our shift started, she started talking to me immediately, started like giving me like her little spiel about work and like advice on what to do. And I was just standing there nodding for a while. But then I remembered, you have to show respect. So in my head, I told myself, I respect you. I respect you. And I made sure to maintain eye contact, to smile, nod, and just to make her know that I'm engaged in the conversation. And by the end of our shift, like, it had gone very well. She liked me. And she noted that out of all the new people she's trained, she appreciated me because whenever I talked to her throughout the entire shift, I seemed very genuine. Like, I was genuinely respectful. Okay, now for the bad. So, the next day, I was working a different shift at a new location. This is our laptop lending lab, so this is where we give out laptops to people. Now, the whole process of it, with each individual, like either checking in a laptop or checking one out to them, takes about a minute. And you find that during the day, you have rush periods where you'll have about like maybe 8 to 10 people. And these aren't particularly fun. During one of these rush periods, about like 7 or 8 people lined up, and the person I was working with and I, we were like quickly getting through them, trying to keep up and like make sure everyone was be able to go on their way. Well, about a minute into the rush, this man from the back of the line just suddenly pushes his way to the front and says, "I have class in 10 minutes. I need to go now." I'm just sitting there, like, did you really just do that in front of all these people? Like, really? But then I remembered I have to be respectful. So I put on my customer service face, smile, I looked at him, and in a very like soothing tone, I said, I'm sorry, sir, but there is a line ahead in front of you. And we are trying to get through as many of you as quickly as possible. So please, if you could just go back, we'll get to you soon. As you expected, that didn't stop him. He once again stated, excuse me, but I'm in a rush, okay? I don't think you understand. I have a quiz. And who has a quiz first week? Like, really? Nice excuse. But once again, I told him, I'm sorry. I told myself I respect you, and I said, I'm sorry, but you're just going to have to wait. And so he walked back to the end of the line. However, it seemed like the damage was already done, because as he was walking back, you could hear the snide comments from everyone else in line, like, what a jerk. What a blank. You know? And it just kind of showed that once you do something disrespectful in front of a group of people, they lose all respect for you. Now to move on to my ugly story. So my final shift for the weekend was at a station that held projectors that we rent out to people. So for a lot of groups on campus, if they want to do a presentation, they rent them out from us, we give them to them, and we have a time schedule, so they can have it for so many hours. Well, about halfway through our shift, this woman comes up, and she seems really nice. She has a smile on her face, and she's like, hi, I'm here to pick up my projector. It's for so-and-so organization. And my partner and I were like, okay, here, let us look this up. Let's have you fill out the information while one of us goes back to go check for it. Well, as we're doing this, my partner goes back to check, and she comes back, and she says, the projector's not here. Let me look up to see where it is. And the woman, she's like, okay, I can wait. And we're looking it up, and we quickly find that the people who had rented it before her hadn't brought it back, and it was now 2 hours late. So what we did is we explained that to her. But we were very respectful. We made eye contact, we smiled, and we told her, I'm sorry, but the people who had the projector before you haven't returned it yet. And she said, oh, okay, well, can you call them? And we said, yes, well, we're going to do that momentarily. And so we do that, and as we're calling them, her demeanor changes. She suddenly slouches and starts tapping her foot and just looks at her watch, and we can tell she's getting annoyed. And so I try and talk to her and maintain that good attitude, and I tell her, I'm sorry, this shouldn't happen. We give them a 30-minute grace period to bring it back. I'm just you know what, it's okay. And so my partner, she's on the phone, she can't get a hold of them, and we call about 3 times, and by that time the woman is now very disgruntled. And she starts telling us to give her the number. She'll make the call herself. She's a very persuasive woman. And we tell her, I'm sorry, but we can't do that. That's against policy. And she's like, no, let me do it. And this goes back and forth where we have to tell her, no, we can't do that. That's not allowed. And she starts becoming very rude. And she starts saying, this is so blank and stupid. I can't believe you won't blank and let me do this. Honestly, oh my god, really? And it becomes a bit much. She's becoming loud. We're in a library, first of all. So what she's saying kind of echoes around us. And finally, we just tell her, I'm sorry, could you please keep quiet? This is a library. We're trying to help you as best as we can. We're making calls. And to no avail. She's still rude and disgruntled. About 20 minutes after she got there, the people finally arrived and they brought back the projector. Once again, still disgruntled, she starts calling them out. She starts yelling at them, and we have to ask her to please be quiet. And so we quickly fill out the paperwork and we give her the projector so she can go. From this experience, I learned that no matter how hard you try to be respectful and to try and earn it back, people won't always reciprocate that. Okay, so from my 3 experiences, I learned that 1, respect is more likely to be reciprocated if you're genuine about it. 2, once you lose once you do something disrespectful, it's hard to earn respect back from the people around you. And 3, that you can't always receive respect from someone, no matter how hard you try. And it goes to show that with respect, it isn't always earned. It always needs to be earned.
Thank you. Let's start over here today.
Okay.
Thank you for waiting respectfully outside.
All right. I'm Josh.
Hi, Josh.
And one particular thing I liked about your speech was that it was your voice. It was soft, but it was like soft in a way. It was like easy to hear, and you were very articulate in what you were saying. And also, I liked how you were very simple with your stories. Just follow the prompt 1, 2, 3, and then conclusion, and made it very simple to follow.
Thank you. Improvement.
I'm Olivia.
Hi, Olivia.
You're a really likable speaker, so I think for improvement, you should use that more and fluctuate your tone of voice and maybe move around a little more so you feel more comfortable to kind of really get your point across, because I think you have the personality to back it up.
Those are good suggestions. You went 10:17, which is a very long respect speech. So, yeah, the camera doesn't lie. We're on 11:43 now. So you really need to work on word economy and getting your stories more succinctly done. And where I think you really went wrong, you had a really long introduction. But beyond that, I liked the way you used your mantra with your manager to create a favorable impression. That was good. I liked the way you handled the idiot that wanted to cut to the front of the line. He should have learned in elementary school, no cuts. The projector lady that was just rude. But the story went on much too long. We could have just gotten in and out, and we got the gist of the story. So don't belabor your stories, is what I would say. But we got the idea that you practiced the exercise and learned from it. So you did a nice job. Thank you.
You can go.
I didn't put my student ID on it. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Quickly. Okay, about right there. Yeah, it's perfect. Okay. Is this the Zoom?
Up top.
Top is the Zoom? Okay. Thank you. See, she knows the camera better than I do. Okay, they're talking. Okay, everyone's attentive. Yeah, door closed, please. Yeah, that'd be good. Top is zoom in, bottom is zoom out.
Mm-hmm.
What are the sides?
Oh.
Nothing. Okay, good. Let's put her in the center. Okay, we're rolling.
Okay. Hi, my name is Malika.
Hi, Monica.
Monica.
Malika?
Yeah.
Hi, Malika.
So today I'm here to summarize the results of my experiment of trying to communicate nonverbal respect for at least a period of 48 hours. I'm not going to quote a dictionary definition of respect to you, because when I went about this experiment, I did it with my own definition of respect, which is be considerate, be courteous, and be gracious towards others. So I learned a lot of things during my experiment, but I'm going to tell you my 3 favorite lessons. One is that respect is actually a great form of karma, and it can come back and help you in the most unexpected of ways. 2 is that most gestures of nonverbal respect don't take a lot from us, but they can go a long way with our audience. And 3, that friendship and familiarity can never be used as an excuse for disrespect. I'm going to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly of my experiment, and show you how I learned what I learned. So the good day was actually the very first day that we got this experiment. I was thinking about how I would communicate nonverbal respect when I looked up and I locked eyes with a girl who was walking down the hill. I looked at her, maintained eye contact, smiled a really big smile, and I said, "Good morning." And she got really flustered. She looked down, gave me a wide berth, and just kind of like walked on. I don't really know what I expected from her. It was the start of the experiment, but I have to say I was a little bit disappointed. But later that night, I was walking back to my dorm from the mailroom, and I had these 2 really big boxes in my hand. As I approached the locked doors, I was dreading that moment where I had to juggle the boxes, pull out my key. And the girl behind me ran ahead, unlocked the door, and held it open for me. So I turned to say thank you, and it was the girl from that morning, who I remembered because I had kind of made a fool of myself. But we got chatting on the way up, and she said that I really made her day, and she was sorry she looked away. It's just no one's really greeted her that way on Brunnwalk, which I understand. And she actually helped me take the boxes all the way to my room, and I feel like I have a new friend out of it. So I learned that respect is a great form of karma. It can come back and help you in the most unexpected ways, and it also makes for a great first impression. The second story is my bad story, but it's because I was having pretty much the worst day of my life. But I actually rather like the ending of my story. So like I said, I was having a really bad day. I'd had classes all morning, I'd had meetings, interviews, and I even flyered on Brunnwalk, which we've all established is a little traumatizing. And I hadn't had time to get a single meal all day, which puts me in a terrible mood. So when I finally trudged up to BCAF at 8 p.m., I was exhausted, I was annoyed, and I just wanted my food. I ordered my sandwich, and I waited, and I waited, and I waited. I waited for about 25 minutes, and by then my patience had just evaporated, and I just wanted my food, so I march up to the guy behind the counter, and I'm ready to demand my turkey sandwich when I think, this is probably the worst day I'm going to have in a while. Hopefully. And when you're in a bad mood, well, that's a great time to practice respect. Really give this experiment a fair shot. So I uncrossed my arms, I oriented my whole body towards him, and I said, "Can I please get my food? I've been waiting a long time." And he immediately went to the back, found out that they actually had misplaced my order, helped someone fix my sandwich, and gave it to me, along with 2 fruits to compensate me for all the time I'd been waiting. He told me that there had been a glitch in the system where the 2 new turkey sandwiches had gotten mixed up all day, and people had been yelling at him all day even though it hadn't been his fault. So he'd actually had a worse day than I had. And I immediately felt so grateful that I'd put aside my anger, my frustration, and my fatigue to give him that time and that attention and that respect that was his due by all rights. So my second story is that even though these small gestures don't cost us a lot, it can really mean a lot to the people they're directed towards. My third story is my ugly story. And it's probably the ugliest one because it involved my friends, whom I feel I've shown respect towards time and time again. I was actually working on this essay, so it's a bit outside the 48-hour gap. It was the Monday before 2 weeks ago. And I was trying to get all my work done when 3 of my friends came into my room. They were laughing, they were goofing around, sorry. And I asked them, I said, "Guys, I'm really trying to get some work done. Can you maybe come back another time?" They just kind of walked around my room, and they were laughing a lot. And then 5 minutes later, they left. So I looked around my room, wondered what they were doing. And they'd been putting up these gag pictures of Nicolas Cage's face on various things, which, I don't know, were extremely distracting. So I took them all down, and I gave them back to my friends and said, "Not this time, please. I'm really trying to get some work done." 5 minutes later, they were back again, slipping it under the door, sticking it up on the ceiling where I couldn't reach, and just trying to get into my room and put it up again. The situation finally resolved itself when my roommate got back, shooed them all out, and then she asked me why I hadn't been more assertive, why I hadn't asked them to leave. I said, "Well, I'm trying to practice respect, and I was trying to be courteous and gracious towards them." And she said, "Wait, respect isn't just given, it has to be earned." I said, "Yes, but that's not the experiment." So she explained to me that if I really wanted to be respectful of others, I had to stop and I had to respect myself. I had to stand up for myself. And that while it's important to be considerate of others' opinions and needs, that's not respect. Respect comes from within. It comes from the respect that we hold to ourselves, and then we choose to show to others. So, to conclude, the 3 things that I learned from this experiment is that 1, respect makes for great first impressions. just maintaining eye contact, smiling at someone can go a long way with them. To connect that, the second thing I learned was that most nonverbal gestures of respect don't take a lot from us, but they can go a long way with our audience. And 3, that if we want to respect others, first we have to take a step back and respect ourselves. So thank you for all the time and respect you've shown me here today.
Thank you. Go over here.
My name is Blake.
Thank you for respectfully waiting outside.
You're a really likable speaker, and you use hand gestures and eye contact really well. And I really liked your introduction. It was really captivating. I was really interested. And you're great. That was really good.
Thank you, Blake. Improvement.
Hi, my name is Anne.
Hi, Anne.
I really don't have a lot to critique you. You were really great. I think maybe your voice struggled with editing, but you were really set in the story. And once you get in, the hand gestures were great. It adds to the story. So, thank you.
Yeah, Malika, I really liked your speech. You were very prepared. You really knew it, and you were prepared to do it, and you did it within a good time frame. A little bit long, but your intro was short enough, which I liked, so that went well. On your the first incident that you thought was good, that good morning, that was predicated, I guess, that was verbal, but still predicated on the nonverbal mantra, I guess, so that was okay. I liked the way you talked about the good karma coming back to you of getting let in the door, so that was good. And I liked the way you handled the turkey sandwich situation, so that was well handled. On the ugly part of the experiment, it sounds to me like this was just good old-fashioned college horsing around, but I see that you were trying to study, and so I see your roommate's point about respecting yourself and, respecting your rights and that sort of thing, and so there's a point where you can disagree without being disagreeable, and you can be firm and still be respectful, and thank you, and I appreciate you coming around, but bye and lock the door or something, So overall, you did a very nice job, just a little long, and try to move 3 times. That'll relax you a little. Left to the right and then back to center. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And we're rolling. Come a little forward so we yeah, there you go, yeah. Good, yeah, good. Good, perfect. Yeah. Rolling.
Alright, I'm Josh.
Hi, Josh.
Okay, throughout my life, I always thought that respect can only be truly expressed through words. Whether this would be through complimenting someone or acknowledging someone's skills or achievements. Yet, in doing this experiment, I realized it's not always the case. I found that respect can be expressed from anywhere. It can be expressed in numerous ways. And while I tried to show nonverbal respect, I found that even the most subtle physical gestures can be equally powerful. And in doing so, I gained a better understanding of what respect was and its importance in communication. And I found this through 3 stories I'd like to share with you today. However, I would like to add a slight twist and a different approach. As you all know, we're not perfect human beings, and there were a few times where I failed the mantra and did not show the proper nonverbal respect. And though I felt terrible about it at the end and showing disrespect to these people, I learned a lot from my actions and the consequences it may bring. And so today I would like to share with you 1 story where I showed nonverbal respect and 2 stories where I did not. In my first story, where I did show nonverbal respect, I was talking with one of my friends before lecture had started. And we were talking about how our first day of school was going, how we thought of our classes, our professors, And as I was talking about how awesome Comm Studies 1 was, I noticed, I paid attention to my friend's gestures as I was speaking to him. He was always making eye contact with me, nodding and smiling as I spoke. And for some reason, I felt this urge of confidence, and my tone became much louder, and I was more excited, more engaged while I was speaking. And as my friend was talking, I also did the same. I returned the favor. I always gave him eye contact, also reacted to what he was saying, and I also saw the same reaction. I saw his confidence also increase. His tone was more excited. He was more immersed to what he was talking about. And looking back at this experience, I realized that showing these nonverbal gestures, it creates this feeling of having your ideas and your thoughts relevant to someone. It shows that you are listening to them and shows that you're cherishing every idea. And in doing this, you create motivation. You create this energy for the person that's speaking, and therefore it gives them a greater motivation to sharing their ideas, which is, I believe, an important key to any storytelling. And in my second story, this is when I showed nonverbal disrespect, unfortunately. But in this story, I was in a slightly heated argument with one of my roommates. It wasn't really much of it wasn't a really argument. We're talking about who was a more talented actress, either Emma Stone or Emma Watson. So it had no real relevance. But anyway, as we were speaking and arguing, my phone, I got a text message on my phone. And of course, instinctively, without knowing, I took out my phone while he was speaking. And I immediately noticed that he paused a little bit. And though he continued to speak later, his tone was much more quiet. And he was beginning to stutter throughout the rest of our conversation. And I just realized that even this small gesture, slight physical gesture, just looking at your phone, it inhibits our communication. I gave him the impression that I did not care what he was talking about. I was not willing to invest my time into what he was saying or to be open-minded to his ideas. And in doing this, I diminished his confidence and I inhibited our communication. And I realized that technology has become so prevalent in our lives, we tend to not pay 100% attention to what we're doing. And if we don't do this, then we don't pay attention to the people that deserve it, and as a result, we prevent the sharing of ideas with each other. And just as I didn't think it could get any worse than the second story, I ran into my third story. And this is like the 10th time this happened, but of course this is through flyers. People were flying on Bruin Walk. And I'm sure most people agree with me, they don't like to be having a paper shoved in their face when they're trying to walk to class peacefully. But so as I was walking on Bruin Walk, I immediately saw one of the people who were flying come towards me. And as they started coming towards me, I again instinctively just turned away and completely ignored them. And I didn't even turn through them and say I wasn't interested and look at them. I just simply walked away. And in doing this, I saw that she was speechless for a moment, and she kind of just awkwardly walked away back to her group. And I looked back on this, and I realized that I treated her worse than trash, I felt like. I treated her as if she was nothing, as if she wasn't even there. And doing this, I showed that I was not willing, that she was not relevant to me, that her ideas had no meaning in my life. And we have to remember, though we may hate flyers sometimes, these are people with ideas, goals, have aspirations and passions and what they want to share. And there could have been a chance where what these clubs or events could have impacted my life. However, because of the gesture of giving the cold shoulder, I did not give the opportunity for them to do that, and I would never know if I could have been impacted by their ideas. And so, overall, of course, I felt terrible for showing this disrespect, and it forced me to be more focused on the mantra of showing respect both verbally and non-verbally. and yet I still learned a lot from my actions from from showing disrespect and respect. It made me more aware that, as I said before, respect can come from anywhere, and you have to be mindful of this. And in knowing this, I also gained a better definition of what respect was, and it's valuing another person's ideas, another person's thoughts and opinions, and this way you treat them equally. And in doing so, you pave way for better communication. And if we continue to show this respect, we can continue to, if we show this respect, we improve communication, just as how a simple eye contact can promote a conversation, and on the opposite spectrum, just as how looking at your phone or turning your back on them can equally inhibit a conversation. And if we are mindful of what respect can do, we can pave way for better communication with each other, and by doing this, we create a comfortable environment for sharing our ideas. And by sharing our ideas, we can work together and find better ways to advance our society.
Thank you. 801. Thank you for waiting respectfully outside for 801. Yes, please.
Hi, I'm Eunice.
What's your name, Eunice?
Eunice.
Hi, Eunice.
Yeah. I think you have a really strong, clear voice, and that really helps you project your words and your confidence to the audience. I can tell you're a very confident speaker. So thanks.
Okay. Improvement.
I'm Sam.
Hi, Sam.
So one thing I guess is just like make sure you really know your material. I guess you seem to kind of forget what you were talking about at some points in time, just stumble a little bit.
Yeah.
Other than that, it was really good.
Yeah. Josh, it was a little long, so you want to work on word economy. Your preview was short and pretty good. Your first encounter of where you were saying the mantra in positive went well, so I like that. I like the story. And you're right, when you suddenly pull out your phone and start texting, you're blowing somebody else off by multitasking, and you were right to acknowledge that and see that that's what was going on. And the same with the second encounter on Bruin Walk, and I appreciate you being sensitive to what you were doing. That was good. I liked your concluding remarks. I thought they were thoughtful. So you got the job done. I'd work on a vocal variety and a little more energy in your tone, so you're a little more uplifting in your delivery, because it was a little ponderous at times. So you want to bring up some energy. Otherwise, you did a nice job. Thank you. Are we out of time?